we have someone coming into the show right now who is, I would say, one of the original members of the D2C Supper Club way back when. He is a at least two-time founder, especially in the hardware space. He's a two-time founder. He's now chief business officer at Fragile, and he's also a creator. Okay, he is a creator at Hardware Nation. I'm talking about the one and only Ritwik Pavan. Get in here, Ritwik. Get in here, brother.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Brother, it's good to see you, man. Look at that lighting. I don't know where you are right now, but it is great lighting on you, bro. I mean, this is fantastic.
Got like a daylight in this room. It's actually really cool.
Wow, look at that. Whoa, man. Yeah, bro, you're flexing on us. You're flexing on us right now, and I'm here for it, brother.
I like the hat. Good.
You know, I got it. People ask for the cowboy hat. I got to put it on.
It looks great. I just got back from Austin. I miss it already.
Oh man, well, we wish you were still here, and I wish you were going to be attending the future Supper Club coming up. But man,
I will in the future.
It has been so long since we've talked. Last time when we talked, you were at Crava Modular ADUs. Man, just give our audience background on what you've been doing since you left Austin, where you are now, and what's going on. I've been so fascinated to follow all of your content at Hardware Nation, etc. Just give us background on where you are and what you're doing now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's been, it feels like ages ago with Crava and Vade. As you know, been in the hardware space for a while as a founder. I think like just starting off with Vade very quickly in 2017, 2018, we were one of the original companies, I think, outside of Flock Safety that decided, hey, let's go build a venture-backed business that sells to government. And see how it goes. And so we had built wireless cameras, went up on street poles, used computer vision to collect real-time curb data.
It's wild.
It was crazy, and it was awesome. And since then, today, fast forward, you're seeing so many defense tech, so many gov tech companies.
Totally.
So it's really cool to see. I think we were a little ahead of our time back then.
You're early, bro. You were early, man.
And then with Crava, it was focused on the end goal being solving housing, a big housing crisis, as we all know. And we wanted to start with baby steps. We've thought that the easiest kind of initial step would be by building like a backyard ADU space where we could build a system, a modular system where it was pre-wired electricals, essentially a Lego-like system for backyard spaces. Yeah. And in most zip codes, most states, anything under 400 square feet, you don't need a permit for, and especially 200 square feet. So start off with that, and then the goal was to eventually build larger spaces. We did not raise venture money for this one, fortunately.
Wow.
And the biggest challenge that we saw was, supply chain, being able to finance these units up front, because oftentimes as a homeowner, you're not going to pay upfront for this thing and then expect it to get delivered. And so ran into our fair share of challenges through it. Ended up exiting to a larger global modular manufacturing company. Awesome, and lots of learnings. I mean, it was very nostalgic when I stopped by the American House.
I saw you there.
Company that
exactly.
And they were. I mean, I've followed Yimby Land and Will for a long time, and Riley, and those guys are just crushing it. And what is it? The American Housing Corporation. Now I got to get the name right.
It's a great name. It's a great name. It's a great name.
It's like, getting everybody together in one of the most important problems. But seeing the way that they have approached it, I do think that they have thought through a lot of these things, even in our conversations. And so super excited to see what they are, where they go with this. And in terms of what I'm doing now, as you've been seeing, I've been building this community called Hardware Nation. And it's really, what sparked it was when I moved to San Francisco, got the little San Francisco hoodie.
There we go, baby.
And what sparked it was I came here with basically no friends. I mean, I grew up in North Carolina, moved a little bit west to Austin, and then moved even further to San Francisco. So, had a lot of mutual connections and whatnot, but no real friends here. And I said, all right, which community am I really interested in? And it's always been hardware. And so I started off by just inviting 4 or 5 friends to a dinner, and then they told another 5 friends, and then it just kept growing. And now every quarter I put together a dinner where we bring, the
That's
coolest hardware
awesome.
founders. So that's what I'm doing along Hardware Nation. And then I'm the chief business officer at Fragile. I can't talk too much about it. We're a stealth Series
Okay.
B.
All right. All right.
We work with category leading hardware brands. So still in hardware, not building it. But yeah, that's what I can share.
That's incredible, man. Well, when I was seeing some of the dinners that you were putting together, man, and the interviews that you've done, et cetera, man, it's so compelling. The content is great, number one. And I totally agree with the premise. That's why we started the Separate Club. I mean, a lot of times, especially founders, operators, largely doing their business on the internet or isolated, et cetera. It's a lonely way to live. So
It really is. And I would argue that hardware is probably the most lonely. I mean,
yeah.
having been in it and then talking to founders, it's just like there's all these problems that, in software you just never see. Supply chain and, making sure that the SKUs are available, then performance marketing and financing. And it's like, it's crazy because whether you're a Series A hardware company or an IPO, you're still talking about the same problems. I met with a founder
It's
that's,
wild.
yesterday, and he's like, this whole memory RAM issue. He's like, he expects a lot of companies to shut down over it, which sucks. But it's, there's all sorts of issues that are constantly coming up. I mean, we had tariffs last year,
Wow.
right? So it's just unexpected things happening all the time. So my goal is to get everybody together in the same room and say, hey, look, it's not as lonely as you think it is.
And that's an interesting point you make. I mean, just about the RAM situation. I mean, the entire companies could shut down because of that. This is I'm because I'm so kind of marketing oriented and performance marketing, et cetera. I'm those that's the kind of world that I live in. And so I don't think about raw materials and products and parts that are necessary for the company to exist. I mean, this is a great point.
And
Navigating those problems is difficult.
you're absolutely right. And I think it's, the most insane thing that I've heard is that he told me that they have non-cancelable purchase orders where they
Oh,
don't even
bro.
have a guarantee on units being delivered. They have to commit in advance. They don't know what the price is of this memory, but they have to commit to a purchase order with the amount of quantity. They don't have a guarantee on the quantity. I mean, it's insane, right? It's like,
Wow.
in what world have you ever heard that happening, right? And so obviously these companies in South Korea and wherever else that are building this memory are definitely taking advantage of the situation as well. But
Yeah.
supply and demand.
Supply and demand. My goodness. Well, man, I think one of your kind of most compelling theses that I have heard, and you tell me if this is right or not, if I got this right or wrong, but
Sure.
I've heard you say something like the most important companies of the next decade will move atoms, not bits, and that AI is what is going to help make all of that happen. And I find this, I want you to talk about it because I find this to be incredibly probably encouraging for founders in the D2C world who are, making products, selling widgets and shipping them wherever they get ordered. But it's also it contradicts where we've seen most of success over the past, call it 10, 20 years in terms of software. It's software, everything is software. And so
Yep.
I'd love to get your perspective on that because you're so hardwired into this community.
Yeah. I mean, I've held this opinion about atoms, not just bits, for almost a decade now.
Mm.
And, I think AI only has accelerated that because, today's day and age, of course, like with Claude and now Perplexity Computer and all these AI tools that people are messing with, I mean, you're already seeing the rate at which people can build their own apps
Yeah.
customizable to them. It's like people are doing this over a weekend now. And so just imagine, what we get to by the end of this year. And so when you consider that problem effectively being solved, I mean, obviously we've got, it's not fully fleshed out, but it's going to be made possible relatively soon. I think the most important problems that people should be solving are more focused on atoms. I mean, and I also think that it's just building better customer experiences because
Mm.
before you used to have a robot vacuum, for example, like a
Right.
iRobot that would just go around, hit corners, random corners, and then clean it up. And then now you've got Matic, which is obviously one of my favorite hardware companies that I always talk about. Have no investment in them.
All
No,
right.
just to be clear. I wish I did. But you've got it kind of being like a Tesla car for your house. And then most recently, I met this company called Andromeda. Grace is the founder, so shout out to her. And they're building these robot companions to help with the loneliness epidemic, where
Yeah.
people in senior living areas, it like can speak 90 languages, it can entertain them, it can dance with them,
Wild.
feels like a human, and this is something they've never really got to experience at the cadence in which they can now. And so when you think about all of these important problems, loneliness or housing even, right?
Yeah.
And are able to now accelerate that with bits being just a lot easier, like the software component just being a lot easier. I do think that over the next decade, this is going to be the most important thing. I think we're going to be seeing investors. We already see investors getting behind it, but I do think hardware and robotics is going to be the place to be.
I find that so interesting. And, of course, with in the context of loneliness and it being such a rife problem in our current world. I mean, that's why the Surgeon General released his big report in 2023 about, it being about equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, if for your health, if one is lonely over a long period of time. And so it's a very interesting thing. To think about there being a robotic companion. And I think I saw this company that you're referencing here.
Yeah, I
And
actually had them at my happy hour last week, and so people loved it. I mean, people were like eyes lit up when they saw it. It's got like one modular arm where it can blow bubbles out of it. It's like, I mean, the kid in you just gets excited when you see that. And I think that's just one part of it. I mean, obviously you can't just solve all this with robots. I mean, I think you're doing important work with like Supper Club, and I remember coming to your dinner, and it's like getting people together is very important. And I think like especially in today's day and age when it is becoming easier to build software, why not go challenge yourself and try
yeah.
to get involved in the hardware world? So I think that a lot of people are doing this, and so it's not like it's not happening. I think there's a natural movement and shift going towards hardware and robotics.
Well, man, I think when you launched Hardware Nation, I think the tweet that you put out like went off like a rocket. I mean, it was like 160,000 views or 600 replies or something like this. I mean, it seems to be that like there is an outcry in the hardware world for people doing hard things. Like, yes, we need to be together. I want to know what's going on, and can we help each other to move things forward in this, important facet of society and business? I mean, can you explain why that happened? I mean, that is most newsletters don't go that way, I'll say.
um, I think it did well mainly because behind the scenes, I had been spending a lot of time with hardware founders, and to me, this outcry was evident even before I put a tweet out, or even before I kind of decided to go about Hardware Nation. And the reason I started Hardware Nation was because of the outcry from founders. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can't just go share online and say, "Hey, we're having this problem with our
Yeah.
manufacturers, and if we can't figure it out, we have 3 months of runway and we die." Right? Like, and
Golly,
you
bro.
I mean, you hear famously like Elon talk about all of the problems with SpaceX and Tesla, and
Yeah.
how it's crazy to think that these companies might not exist today if like
Crazy.
one other thing went wrong, right? And so after hearing directly from founders and pretty much spending all of my time with them, that led me to start Hardware Nation and bring them more exposure, do the videos that you're talking about. I've been trying to get into short form. I share weekly posts with exciting hardware. But my goal is just to bring more visibility to founders and the incredible products they're building.
I love it, man. I love it. Tell me when you see, and I know you see so many products every week. You talk to so many founders, man. What are 2 to 3 trends or products? Just what's top of mind for you that you see coming or you think is going to be groundbreaking? You see huge opportunity in. I know for me because I've got a number of children. I've got 4 blessed little children running around. I'm fascinated about how AI is involved in kids products like the Dex camera that was featured in the newsletter.
You got to get the
And
Dex camera. That's awesome.
I mean,
Yeah,
it looks so interesting, and helping kids learn how to speak and what it is. And then there was a toy that won a CES award this year. It's like a screenless toy. You can throw it up against the wall, and it teaches your kid how to speak. And I find this to be particularly fascinating. But for you, and what do you see coming? What are you excited about? What's around the next corner?
Yeah, I mean, I really see a spectrum, right? So there's a lot of the fun products, which oftentimes people enjoy, and the family products. You've got like Dex, which, for those of you who don't know, it's a camera for kids where you hold it up against, anything, a chair, and it takes a photo of it, and you can have a language set up to make it easier for your kids to learn new languages. If you want your kids to learn
Wild.
Chinese or Spanish or Hindi, whatever language, they are able to learn it easier, but also has this little display where it uses AI generated images. So you take a photo of a flower and it generates this nice cartoon photo of flower and explains it. So they found this niche, right? Where it's like, I think it's perfect. And then you've got companies like Board, which is like the gaming, they built these
Oh,
games
yes. Yes.
and it was on my holiday guide for last year. And then I think these games are I think the value and the experience increases tremendously with the help of AI. And then on a more serious note, like outside of the kids and the toys and sticker box where you ask it to print something and then it prints a sticker of
Yeah.
it and it can generate in real time, all of those products are amazing. I love them. I do think that there's this natural trend in what we've all been seeing towards robotics, and I think that I am interested in both specialized robotics as well as the humanoid robotics. I think that the humanoid robots are a lot further than what we get marketed today. I think
Mm.
that it's still, at least when I think about getting one myself, I mean, I pre-ordered the 1X and I'm excited about it, but
All
I would be
right.
super impressed if they got, I mean, I would be super impressed if they deliver in time, and I'm rooting for them. I hope they do. But I do think it's going to be a while generally before we see these humanoid robots being useful at home, because every home is different.
Yeah.
Every family is different. I mean, these are as much as you can make them look friendly, these aren't the safest machinery to be around. I mean, they're machines and they're heavy. And
Machines.
so while I'm very excited about humanoids and I would love for a humanoid one day to be doing, my laundry and doing everything else, I am equally as excited about the specialized robotics side, where in warehouses and companies, and there's these real use cases. When I was in Shenzhen, I mean, you're already seeing these robots running around, going up and down floors and dropping off like
Really?
they have an equivalent to the Uber Eats. I'm forgetting what it's called, but like you've got where you order food and this robot comes up. It can go up the elevator, drop it off, come back down. Similarly with cleaning, it can clean the entire hotel, like floors and everything
Fascinating.
else. It's all like this already exists, and so now when you imagine that at a higher level, where you've got like autonomous forklifts being built, you've got robots that are able to carry boxes and place them where they need to go. So I'm especially excited about robotics in this next decade.
And that makes a lot of sense when you describe it that way. Why, there may be more use cases or more excitement around kind of specialist robotics that have certain functions that can operate and are in other places on the earth right now, right, versus just the humanoid that everybody expects and gets excited about. That's
Yeah,
very
humanoid is great
interesting.
marketing. I think it's great marketing, and I think obviously I'm very bullish on Optimus and some of these other companies that are
Yeah.
getting built. I have no doubt that Elon and these other incredible entrepreneurs are going to make it work. I just think that it's a little further out than people expect, and I think that it's going to be a while before they get useful at the point in which these videos you're seeing where it's doing all of these things. It's marketing videos. They're obviously like very carefully
Yeah.
curated and teleopt and all that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, as you have and talked with founders, met with companies, and then you're visiting and telling their stories and such. And what are like the commonalities that you see when, man, there's a lot of hype around something that's happening? There's a category of company everybody's excited about, but then it stalls, and inevitably maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. Man, are there any like common pitfalls or similarities that you see across the board as those things happen that might be relevant for founders
Yeah.
and operators listening?
I'm just hoping that I don't get off of hearing on Twitter and then see another AI wearable or I think that, I mean, there are some really cool health tracking ones, so I'll give it that. But the AI wearable space, I mean, every week we were, I mean, even
There's a
now
new
seeing
thing
like
every
a new
week.
launch. And I think like, we have not truly found what is going to be the best form factor. I'm of the opinion that I do think it's going to be glasses. I think that it might,
I think so too.
yeah, and I think I don't know if it's going to be Meta glasses, if it's going to be another glasses brand. Obviously, each company and a company like Meta, for example, has their fair share of explaining when it comes to privacy and everything else, right? I mean, when you're talking about glasses as the form factor and it's got cameras and it's got
Oh,
your
yeah.
messages and calls and everything, I mean, that I think it's very hard to beat that. And one of the best reasons is, like, even if you have your Meta Ray-Bans glasses, which I have, it's like you're at a concert, everyone's like has their phones out, and it used to be
Yeah.
like live in the moment, put your phones away, and now like you can kind of do that while having your glasses there. Even it's almost this like subtle addition where you need navigation, takes you there. Anyways, to answer your question, I think that when I talk to founders, I always say, like, the Twitter launch is great, but that is like the smallest part of it, because the launch is mainly to launch most likely gets you inbound from investors, where they all kind of are on Twitter. However, I have seen the numbers. I have seen multiple launches. I've helped out with them, thousands of retweets, and you will be surprised to hear that maybe they get a few hundred orders. And so it does not do well today with conversion. Obviously, X is trying to improve their ads and all of that kind of stuff. But today, the truth is, it's still on Meta, TikTok, working through creators. And so if you're building a consumer hardware product specifically, you need to build it out in a way that you're not just expecting this one launch that goes viral and you've talked to your friends and you've told them to retweet and all that stuff. That is like your end all be all, because the truth is that is just getting started. That is a starting point in which people know maybe who you are and maybe liked your video. But to convert them, I mean, to ask somebody to spend even $200, $300 on a product, it's not easy. I mean, forget like
Not
the $1,000
easy.
product, right? And so, and this, and so, I always tell them to have a proper campaign set up where, they've measured and tried out a bunch of different mini ad campaigns and need to create that process rather than investing all of their resources into like an X launch.
Yeah, that's where the long haul of business really begins, is after the product is available. It's like
you can't be having the 20 only a few people like Elon can have the Roadster waiting so long and people will still get it, right? Like most people, especially if they don't know you, are not going to wait even 6 months on their product, right? Like, this is not Kickstarter. We need to have it in a few weeks max.
Yeah, it's a great point, man. We appreciate you making the time and getting back on here, Ritwik. I'm blown away from where all you've gone since we last talked. And before you go, tell us though, man, where to find you, where to follow you, Hardware Nation. What should we do? All of the things so that we can stay plugged into what you're building over there.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It's great to see you, and look forward to hopefully seeing each other in person again soon. You can find me at at RITWIKPAVAN, my first and last name, on X. On Instagram, it's just at ritwik.mov, like the movie file. And I talk about short form there. You can follow Hardware Nation at HW Nation. So Hardware Nation, or go to hardwarenation.com or hardwarenation.co.
That YouTube, the YouTube is goated, bro.
The YouTube is goated. I like the YouTube a lot. I like the videos on YouTube. They're probably my favorite. I will say, everyone's always like, when is the next one coming out? It's coming very soon. Maybe I can drop it on your podcast. Yeah, why not?
Do that, bro.
So we are. So I am flying to London end of April to do a Hardware Nation episode with Carl, the CEO of Nothing. So if you know Nothing, which is the previous founder of OnePlus, we are going to be doing a Hardware Nation episode on them. We've got a bunch of other ones lined up. The production obviously takes a crew, so it takes some time to get those videos out. But feel free to follow along and on any of the socials.
We're going to be following, and you come back on here and drop that thing, man. We'll do a world premiere. We did a world premiere last week. Did a world premiere last week. With
I will reach out to you in that case, and I will share it.
All right, man. We look forward to it. Thank you, brother. Great to see you, man.
Thank you for having me on.
All right. Wow.